Easter, a time for fake grass, plastic eggs, these things, chocolate bunnies, and people dressed as bunnies. And then there are the weird parts of Easter, like fake grass, plastic eggs, these things, chocolate bunnies, and people dressed as bunnies, which is interesting. But what does all this stuff have to do with Easter? And if this holiday is about more than candy and wearing uncomfortable clothes to church and lunch with your relatives, what makes Easter happy?
Hello, New Garden students. I hope everyone is having a good day today. We're starting a new series tonight called Happy Easter, and I'm very excited about it. If you are watching this on or before March 25th, you should plan on joining us on Zoom on Wednesday night, March 25th at 7 p.m. If you don't know about Zoom, you can look it up and download it and join us, and you can look at newgarden.church/chat for the link to join our meeting at 7 on Wednesday, March 25th. Be there or be square. We're going to be hanging out, catching up, might play a game. We're going to discuss what Happy Easter Week 1 is all about, so you don't want to miss it. Please join us there. Also, if you are interested in a devotional plan that is based on this series, Happy Easter, you can download the YouVersion Bible app, which is the Bible app that says Holy Bible on it when you look it up, and search Happy Easter in the Bible app, and it will come up with a 15-day Bible reading plan based on what we're going to be talking about on Wednesdays. So if you're interested in that, do that. It's going to be good. I'm going to do it. We can chat about it. It'll be great. So, without any further ado, I know it's not Easter yet, but the last time you were in a grocery store or at Walmart or at Target, which might have been a while at this point, you probably saw Easter stuff, right? It's been out for a while. Easter candy, Easter baskets, even some Easter eggs and bunnies. And I don't know about you, but when I was little, we would always dress up for Easter, wear a special Easter dress. A lot of times I was matching with my sister. I remember my mom used to always paint our nails the night before Easter. That was a tradition that we had. Not sure why, but we always got our nails painted, and we had like cute little white Easter shoes and sometimes like a purse that matched. So I don't know what your Easter traditions were growing up, but they also might have included going to visit the Easter Bunny, which now that we're a little bit older seems kind of strange, but that is what most people did, right? Maybe you went to the mall to visit the Easter Bunny and get a picture, and I remember standing in line for the Easter Bunny and being so nervous. And if you're bored today, which odds are you will get bored sometime today, you should look up pictures of kids being terrified of the Easter Bunny, because it is kind of sad, but also pretty funny. And it just begs the question, why do we do these things? But no matter how old you are, like, we know that fear is real, right? When you're a kid and you are in line for the Easter Bunny, this stranger in a bunny suit, it doesn't make sense. And that is scary. And as we grow up, we realize that we don't just grow out of fear. When you're little, you're probably scared of the Easter Bunny, or maybe scared of the dark. Maybe you were scared of a monster living under your bed. Maybe you were scared of, who knows? There are lots of things that children are afraid of. And now that fear has grown up with us, and maybe we don't call it fear anymore. Maybe you call it stress or anxiety or worry, things that are bothering you, things that you're afraid of. Like maybe you're afraid to really be yourself around someone because you don't know how they might react. Maybe you're afraid that your parents are going to find out about something because you don't want them to know about it. There are all sorts of things that we are afraid of as time goes by, and that fear grows with us. And I think if we boil all of this down, there is one big fear that we can probably connect all of these things back to, and it's a fear of death. Now, you might be a person that says, I'm not afraid of death. Like, I feel great about what's going to happen after I die. Like, I'm not worried about that. I'm not afraid of death. That's okay. Hang with me. Also, you might be thinking, wow, that really got dark really fast. But what I want to say is it's not just about a physical death, right? Because death, when we think about it, it's uncertain, it's final, it is the end of something, and we can't get it back. And when we're looking at the things in our lives that we're afraid of, maybe you're afraid of a friendship falling apart and that not being able to be fixed and having like the death of that relationship. Or maybe you're afraid of not getting into the school that you really want to, and that would be like the death of a dream and the things that you've worked for so long ending and being for nothing. There are a lot of things that we can connect back to this fear because it comes down to losing something and us not being able to get it back. So that is a harsh reality, right? To be dealing with these things that are very real, these fears and these worries that are scary, and being afraid that we're going to lose something good and not being able to get it back. And I think that feels very relevant right now. I know that not being in school is strange, and not being able to see your friends is weird, and like the future is uncertain. We don't know what the next few weeks look like, but that is where our good news comes in this week, because we're talking about Easter, which is all about hope. So as we head into this Easter season, we know that the point of this holiday is not about getting your nails painted the night before Easter or getting Peeps on Easter Sunday in your Easter basket, right? We know that as followers of Jesus, we are celebrating a really important thing that happened in history when Jesus lived his life, he came to earth, lived, was crucified, and was in the tomb for 3 days, and then was resurrected. Like, what I'm saying is that death, this fear of death that we have, didn't have anything on Jesus. Like, Jesus and death went head to head, and Jesus won. Through all of history before that, people who went against death, death won. Duh. We don't know of any other people who came back to life after they died. And that is good news. And that's why we celebrate Easter. It's a big deal. And it changed everything. And today we're going to talk about one guy who was specifically, his life like a black and white change. And his name was Paul. So Paul, his name used to be Saul, and he persecuted Christians. He would torture them and threaten them with death, and was trying to convince them to not follow Jesus anymore. And then one day, this guy who literally hates Christians met Jesus, not in person, but like the way that we meet Jesus. And his life was completely changed. His name was changed. And suddenly he became like one of the most influential Christians in history. You might recognize Paul because he wrote a lot of books in the Bible, like Corinthians and Romans and Ephesians. Like, we believe that he wrote all of these things. So not only did Paul have a huge influence on people that he was around when he was alive, but his influence is still going. And Paul, while he had been threatening Christians with death before, now he himself was facing all of these scary things. Paul went through a lot of crazy stuff in his life. He was shipwrecked several times. He was in jail. He was threatened with death, all because he was now following Jesus. But he seemed to live without that fear of death. And he wrote in 1 Corinthians 15, starting in verse 54, "Death is swallowed up in victory. O death, where is your sting? O death," oh yeah, it just says that twice. "O death, where is your victory? O death, where is your sting?" And it almost sounds like Paul is taunting death, this thing that no other human has ever conquered except Jesus, who was God in human form, right? Paul's like, death, come at me. That's fine. Like, I believe in the one who conquered death. This is why Paul was able to live the way that he was living, able to live without the fear of death, because he knew that Jesus was more powerful than that the fear of death didn't get to have the final word. And that's the exciting thing about Easter, because Easter means that fear isn't final. It means that the things that we are facing in this life, yes, they're hard. Yes, they're scary and they're uncertain. And the things that we're afraid of may happen. They may not happen. But what I want to tell you is that this is from Romans 8:11. The Spirit of God who raised Jesus from the dead lives in you. That's a big deal. So not only do we know about Jesus, we heard his story and we think it's awesome and we believe it, but the same power that caused that to happen, the Spirit of God that raised up Jesus, you have that in you. That's insane. Like, that is amazing. And I think that provides us with this sense of hope, right? Now, what I'm not saying is that this is going to cause all your problems to go away immediately. And I'm not saying that we should be irresponsible. I'm not saying that we should ignore social distancing and go out because we shouldn't live in fear. No. But what I'm saying is that the things that we're afraid of don't get to have the final word. They don't get to dictate the way that we live, right? If you're living in fear because of a hard conversation that you need to have with someone, the power of God lives in you and you are able to do hard things. So I want you to think about places that fear has been holding you back. Maybe it's in a relationship with someone. Maybe there's a conflict that you need to resolve that you've been avoiding. Maybe it's dreaming big about your future. That's scary. But what is it that you want to do in the future? Maybe it's something within your family that's hard, that is scary, and you don't know how to deal with it. Whatever it may be, I want you to think about what step you can take to prove that fear doesn't have the final word, to prove that the fear of that situation doesn't get to dictate the way that you feel and the way that you live, because you have the power of God, the Spirit of God in you. So that is Happy Easter week 1. If you want to listen to some worship songs and sing along, I think that Living Hope and Oh Praise the Name would be 2 good ones to listen to go along with this lesson. And we'll be talking about the small group questions in the Zoom meeting on Wednesday night at 7 p.m. You can go to newgarden.church/chat to get the info on our Zoom meeting. I hope to see you there. Love you. See you soon.